I'm sorry. I pressed something and it took us back. I have to go back on Facebook. Yeah, you know. It's live streaming on Facebook already. Well, I can't see Facebook. Okay, it's been live streamed. How you are welcome. Let's start with introduction so that people either on Facebook or later on YouTube and LinkedIn where we will post, we know who and who are here today. I want to start the introduction with our clinical psychologist, Dr. Lanrewaju Shodende. He's the Deputy Director, Clinic Psychology, Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Aro, Abeokuta. And Psychiatric Hospital, Aro, Abeokuta is well known in Africa and all over the world. Let me just read his current position. Is the Department of Clinical Psychology, that is WHO Collaborative Center for Research and Training in Mental Health. Is dynamic, result-oriented mental health professional with strong leadership, interpersonal, and communication skills. And you will witness some of the communication skills here today. His experience in working with adolescents and adults with mental health issues, forensic cases, and substance use disorders. Key competencies: conducting clinical interviews and assessment for mental health, substance use disorders, and forensic evaluations. Using various psychological assessments, and there are so many of them. You might mention some of them for us here: the MMP-1-2, the MCMI-3, the WAIS, Bender, Bender Gestalt test. Anybody who is in that line, we understand what we are saying. Dr. Shodende provides psychological interventions for adolescents and adults using various psychotherapies. Experience in clinical supervision, report writing, and research collaboration. Do I now mention his academic qualifications? With all this he's been doing. Ph.D. That's the highest anybody can read up to. And I'm always proud when somebody tries as much as possible to get to that line. In his work, Ph.D. in clinical psychology, University of Ibadan, Nigeria, 2017. MSc in clinical psychology, University of Ibadan. That's what we call it, the premier university.
Premier University,
not only in Nigeria, but even in Africa. Experience, West African school certificate, well, you have to have that. Let's go to the professional training. Nigerian Association of Clinical Psychologists, Continuous Education and Training Workshop. UNODC and European Union, Universal Treatment Curriculum on Substance Use Disorder, Bristol University, Curriculum Training on Modern Trends and Teaching and Learning, Center for Rational and Cognitive Therapies, Canada, Clinical Attachments, 2015. Albert Elsie Institute, Certificate in Rational, Emotive, and Cognitive Behavioral Theory and Technique. And this summary encapsulates the professional and academic journey of Dr. Olanrewaju Olugbenga Shodende. I have tried as much as I could to brief, highlighting his expertise in clinical psychology and extensive experience in both academic and practical realms of mental health. So who better to discuss about resilience, mindfulness, mental health for us than Dr. Shodende. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Piers.
I now want to welcome the second panelist, Ayo Oshewa. It's Ayo Olúṣeyẹ Oshewa, an engineer of over 15 years expertise in the oil and gas industry. with a robust foundation in petroleum geoscience and a distinguished role as a business development engineer in Total E&P. His work in various spheres, France, Nigeria, and is presently based in Angola. And that's the positive impact of technology. The host is from USA, our clinical psychologist from Nigeria, and the other one is in Angola. And now Yolisha Yoshewa from Angola. And you can see the positive psychology. We are all connected here as panelists. Beyond his professional achievements, Ayo is passionately dedicated to community empowerment, having pioneered and contributed to numerous social development initiatives focused on supporting disadvantaged children and their families. He is also a devoted husband and a loving father to two beautiful children, embodying commitment and compassion at work and at home. You are welcome, Engineer Ayo Oluseye Oshewa. Our third panelist.
Thank you very much for having me.
Unfortunately, he might still be able to join us. Something came up, and that is Abayomi Majekodumi. He might not be able. He sent his contributions even beforehand. When this thing came, he sent it down by email. But he said he might still try to probably join within the discussion time. So let's now go straight to the point. Before we go straight, it will be okay to introduce your host. My name is Josephine. I'm a doctor of philosophy in philosophy of religion and theology. I'm a board-certified professional life coach, a mental health advocate, a trauma care-informed coach, and an empathetic listener. And for my coaching business, which I've just started, because I've been a teacher all along, teaching online, teaching people, but I've just started now, read this coaching part one, individual, group coaching, that's what I'm doing. So this sensitivity, or what we are sensitizing people, they are part of what people should know to either get them to a counselor, a therapist, a coach, if they find themselves in any of the situation. But what we are specifically talking today is resilience. And then we're going now to start the discussion points. Let's look at the overview of the discussion. Understanding resilience. We want to be able to gain insight into resilience definition, this curriculum, the components, how it impacts overall well-being. We want to be able to discover practical tools and techniques for developing and building up resilience and maintaining mental health. Also, we want to talk about mindfulness and meditation practices, how it helps with mental health, stress management, inner strength, then the renewal and growth. That is, we want to learn how to cultivate self-awareness, how we could have emotional intelligence, confidence, and self-efficacy for our mental balance. And then renewal and growth, understand the importance of self-care, continuous learning, and personal development in fostering renewal and personal growth. Let's start with the first point. Understanding resilience. I think I will go at Dr. Shuda here. Can you come up with the definition and importance of resilience, and the science behind resilience?
Yeah, thank you very much, man. Thank you, listeners. when we talk about resilience, I think the first thing before making a definition is to give an example so that we can have a deep insight into what we are talking about. Resilience, by the way I explain it most of the time, is like having two balls. One is when one is made of glass and the other is made of rubber. When we smash both on the wall, one will smash into pieces, hundreds of pieces, and the other will bounce back. So by that, resilience talks about the ability to bounce back or cope or to even recover from an adversity, a setback, or a misfortune. So most people, when they have setback or when they are faced with challenges, many never recovered, and that may be their Waterloo. They break down totally and are not able to recover back again. The adversity can come in form of maybe sickness. It can come into financial loss, maybe relationship problem. It can come in form of a job loss or even natural disaster. So when there are, adversity like that, many people are not able to recover. But a resilient person, because he has developed enough coping ability, coping adaptability, will be able to, despite the challenges, whatever what one is going through, be able to recover and bounce back and become a better person, taking the adversity as a launching pad, to move on in life. So I think that's how I would describe resilience. It's a fundamental aspect of mental health. When we talk about mental health, many people think of mental illness. But when we talk about mental health itself, it talks about, many people believe that, okay, it is everybody that dress, tattered or walking around on the street naked that are mad people. But a lot of people are well dressed and appear that everything is looking okay. But deep within, they may be having challenges or difficulty which becomes very difficult for them to cope. And therefore, when we look at mental health, we look at it from the perspective of ability for one to realize one's unique potentials. Everybody has their own unique potential. Then secondly, ability to cope with the normal stresses of life. There are stressors everywhere. There are stresses everywhere. But ability to cope with it is very, very important. And this is very important for our mental well-being. Then also ability to work productively and also contribute meaningfully to the community. All these things are very, very important when we look at mental health. And when we are talking about resilience, we have to factor all these things, because they are very, very important. It does not mean there is no problem, and it does not mean one is suppressing the problem, but despite the problem, the breeder is still moving on. It's like there is a book I read many years ago that talks about that tough time never lasts, but only tough people last. I think that captures what resilience is all about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shedende. Do you want something to chip in here, Engineer Sheward?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for having me here. So if I would just add a little to what the doctor has said, technically, I remember when I was in school, right? One of the things that we did as science students was what is called the elasticity of a material. And what that kind of gives is the elasticity of the material is defined by the unique strength of that material to return back to its normal stage despite the stress that it has gone through, right? So you can take any kind of material you have, so you apply some pressure on it or you apply some stress on it, and you will find out that some materials, right, they would break, right, and never come back to its original situation. some materials, they will come back. And if you look at it in that way, to bring it a little bit home, you can define resilience in that regard, to say that, you know, as the doctor said, there are a lot of stressors out there. Right? There are a lot of things that we deal with. And all of these things can be described as what is applying pressure to each person. But the ability of each person, each one, to be able to go through that and not be broken, right? The ability of each person to go through life with its different stressors and its different issues, and not get to a place where you give up, not get to a place where you say, okay, I cannot go further anymore, is what defines your resilience. The ability to say that despite it all, I will keep forging ahead. Despite it all, I would not lose hope. Despite it all, I will continue to push towards my dream. This ability, this strength, wherever you pull it out from, is what defines the resilience of a person.
Thank you, Engineer Yoshewa. And if to summarize both Dr. Shodende and Engineer Yoshewa, I could say to our audience that resilience is the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences. And that means through either mental, emotional, and behavioral flexibility and adjustment to external and internal demands. That's it, I mean, to encapsulate it. That's what both of you have said. And I like the way both of you gave a practical example that people will understand. Dr. Shodende gave the example of the ball. While one will just go on and the other one will bounce back. And then the scientist, Engineer Yoshewa, gave the practical example of the elasticity that bounces back. Very, very good one. Very, very good demonstration of what resilience is all about. The components of resilience, we know, is psychological, is emotional, and social aspects. So what's the role of mindset and attitudes in building resilience? Do you need, why are some people, let me put it this way, why some people, we can regard them as resilient people, resilient personality? Why will a person be a resilient person and another will not be? That means as the mindset and attitude has a role in playing with building resilience. Anyone can go first, please.
Okay, let me do this. Okay, Doctor, you can go ahead if you want to.
No, don't worry, sir. Don't worry. You can go ahead.
I was going to add a little bit of on flavor on what our host just said. You know, she did mention that why do people kind of tend to have, you know, some people appear to be more resilient than the other. Let me just put a little bit of spin on it as well. You would find out that you take two people, right? Two people that go through the same thing, and one person crumbles and the other person does not, right? You would have two different people that would say that what you're going through, right, is not as difficult as what I am going through, right? And totally they have two different responses, you know, and, you know, as we have established, as we go through life, we will deal with different stressors and different issues. To a large extent, the mindset that we have and how we build the mindset, to a large extent, the things that contribute towards building that resilience is very, very important. And I'm sure that as we go on in the presentation and in the talk, we'll have chances to talk about what can build a person's resilience. But for now, it suffices to say that the mindset that each person has, the components of the resilience factor that each person has, is what dictates your response to each thing that you go through in life, is what dictates whether you demonstrate this resilience, to what extent you demonstrate it, and to what extent you are able to cope in it. Each one of us, during the course of our lives up until now, have had chances and opportunities to build up on the resilience factor. It is when the challenges come that defines how we exhibit it. And that's why you will find out that one person will have a different response to the other person.
Dr. Shorende, any more?
Yeah, thank you, my two panelists. The way I see it is that, you see, there is individual differences in everything, and our personality play a major role in the way we respond to things, the way we behave, our attitude, predisposition, and others. So personality is a product of the genetic endowment, what we inherited from our parents, and also the environmental factors. So all these things play a major role. Resilience is not, like a trait that we inherited, like introversion or extroversion. No, resilience is sometimes learned over time. So some of our experiences in life, the challenges we face, how we cope with these various challenges affects us in the way we deal with things around us. If somebody is living a life of continuous success, we are successful in this, so that gives more confidence that, okay, we'll be able to face, the coming challenges and also, be successful in it. So personality play a major role in, and also the mindset, in our mindset, the way we think determines the way we feel, and the way we feel determines the way we behave. And therefore, it is said that, okay, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. So all those things are, so that's it. Somebody put it, Shakespeare put it, differently. He said in Hamlet, he said, there is nothing good or nothing bad, but thinking makes it so. So the way we view things around us, the way we feel challenges, you can determine whether we will be successful in coping with it or not. I think that's what I just want to add. Thank you.
Thank you, both panelists, because if I want to infer from all you have said, individualistic, the way you think, your person and things like, in our coaching world, what we were taught is that maybe some of the things that could actually affect one person being resilient and another not, happens to do with the mindset. That is, there's something we call ownership mindset and victimhood mindset. And victim mindset could come from adversity or trauma in the early childhood of such a person. Maybe that person had encountered either a trauma or many traumatic events. It could even be as simple as a car accident that has shaken him, not to talk about domestic violence, sexual abuse, or whatever. All kinds of traumatic could have affected that person to become a victim, having a victim mindset. And until such a person can shift into what we call ownership mindset, like when you both are talking, that individual, you make up your mind, you now own your mind to be able to move forward. Or maybe that person needs to see a counselor or therapist or mental health people to help out, to be able to come to the present, not living in the past, so that that person can take ownership of his mindset and be able to build resilience. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next one, overcoming adversity. Common sources of adversity, we know examples of personal, professional, and societal challenges, and the impact of adversity on mental and physical health. So if there are any personal stories and examples, or there are any anecdotes, and we want Dr. Shorende, because of his past experience to share us in this one. But let's talk about common sources of adversity and how we can overcome adversity. Who's taking the first slot? You're both of us. Doctor, you want to go first? Well, I think technology has come there. Meanwhile, do you want to say something on common sources of adversity if you know, Engineer?
Yeah. I mean, I think we can all attest to the fact that there's a lot of stressors, there's a lot of adversity that we go through, that we can go through, that we are predisposed to. I mean, like it is mentioned in your career or in your personal life, even medically, health-wise, there are a lot of adversity that can come. People have adversity when it comes to their health. People have adversity when it comes to maybe a personal problem with their children, with their spouses, or some people even in their finances, right? A lot of children are suffering from peer pressure. A lot of children are suffering from being bullied. And you would find out that this doesn't only have impact on the children, it has consequent impact on the parents, and it has a consequent impact on the family. It suffices to say that sometimes when you're having an adversity in one area of life, right, it tends to have an impact on the whole overall general disposition and behavior of the person, and even as a family. So answering the question, there is a lot. I mean, and personally, I can give examples of different adversities that I have gone through in career, in the place of work, in the office environment, in an organization, trying to climb up the ladder, right? Having to deal with different issues. I can talk about challenges as far as finances is concerned, as far as medical health is concerned. In fact, there was a time I had a very, very big source of adversity and challenge with health issues, right? A very big challenge that has with financial issues. I remember very clearly in, I think this was in 2008, 2007, 2008, when I lost my father, right? It was such a big shock, right? And it almost brought me on the edges of depression, right? So, and I know that if we open the lines and let people talk, we can always relate with different sources of adversities that we're all going through or that we have gone through in one time or the other.
Thank you for sharing, Engineer Yoshua. Dr. Shodende, please.
Yeah, adversity can be caused by different, it could be natural, it could be something that one is not prepared for. There is a saying that trouble no dey blow whistle. So there are some emergencies that happen that we don't even plan for, maybe on the personal level. You know, despite careful planning, you know, there are sometimes one feel, you know, even despite the preparation. So and when these things come, it comes in a way that it is sometimes devastating. And sometimes it takes time for people to gather themselves together. Today, many people face challenges like divorce. You know, one partner will just say, okay, I'm not interested in the relationship again. And there are relationship problems, boyfriend, girlfriend, you know. So, and they said, I don't even understand him anymore. You know, there may be serious health challenges, you know, which the individual is finding it difficult to cope with. There may be some traumatic or life-threatening experience, encounter with armed robbers, encounter with kidnappers, encounter with rapists, automobile accidents, and a lot, encounter with assassins, professionally, I will say there was a day I was asked to come and review, a patient, a client, this woman, it was a case of assassin, and they assassinated the husband and the 4 children. And she also was macheted. They thought she was dead, and they left. But unfortunately, she did not die. And when I was calling, I was saying, how do I console this individual? To me itself, it was a challenge. I don't feel like going because it was like a great burden to me. But eventually I say, okay, let me just go there. Whatever happens, but when I got there, I discovered that, okay, this woman also was a very resilient woman. The family of the husband and has pardoned her, believing that her leg is not good in the house. And a lot of her, but she came back, she recovered, and now, she's remarried and has moved on. So cases like that are some of the examples, as professionally, personally, I will say as an individual, okay, is he looking for a job we want to talk about, especially during the June 12th era, when we are looking for jobs that are not even existing because of the political climate of the country. But despite that, one kept going and going, and until today, one is still trying. So it's on and on. But one thing I want to say is that in this life, we always have encounter. There will always be challenges. The only place where there is no challenge at all in life is the graveyard, as they say. So as long as we are alive, yes, as long as we are alive, we will have one encounter with one challenge or the other. And we need to brace up. When we brace up this, reduce the burden, the impact of the problem on ourselves, because this thing has implication on our mental health. It can lead to somebody that has encountered a kidnapping or armed robbery incident can develop anxiety disorder. Somebody that has suffered a major or symbolic loss can develop unhealthy coping strategy, like doing alcohol or having sleepless night, having difficulty in eating, problem in concentration, and many, many others. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I think the host will even like to check, because when we talk about anecdotes and giving people their tips on how to build it, I had my greatest adversity was when my marriage of 19 years broke down and we were on the tip of divorce. After 19 years of marriage, when I got divorced. But I will say one of my anecdotes was my faith in Christ. My faith in God helped me. And I have a kind of a motto that says, I do not cry over split milk. Once something bad or something happens, I like to focus forward, not looking back at that adversity. So my faith in Christ helped me, molded me, and you can see a lot of things I achieved even after the divorce. I focused, I said, and I know that yes, I have my own identity. My identity is in Christ. My identity is not in that marriage. And because I have a personal identity in Christ, I could now focus on my children, all of them at that time who were still in school, and then focus more on my career. It was after the divorce I went for my master's degree. After the divorce, I had my first Ph.D. degree and the second Ph.D. degree, the first Ph.D. degree in seminary and the second Ph.D. in the university. It's after that I'm still achieving what I'm achieving as a life coach, and then all those things I am doing, helping others. So, and certain, some people, when they have that kind of traumatic event in like divorce, it seems as if their lives have ended. It has sent some people to mental home when they cannot cope with themselves. So we are saying this and lighting on these adversities but majorly letting people know that, okay, I will like Engineer wants to say something.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to chip into to people listening, right? Sometimes, and I used to fall into that category as well. You hear people that are faced one adversity or the other, right? And you can bulk under the fact that, okay, this person is facing this big adversity, and this person is able to survive that. However, me on my own, I am facing what I consider to be this small adversity. I am not able to. And then you can put yourself under a lot of pressure because you are not able to. I just wanted to say here, whilst we're talking about adversity, is that everybody has their own adversity in their own proportions, right? Whatever is an adversity to you is adversity that accommodates your size, your stature at the time. And another person's adversity accommodates their stature and their position at that time. We all have our different adversities. It doesn't mean that this person's adversity is greater than that person's adversity or is greater than another person's adversity. It is, how will I call it? When they sew the cloth according to your size, right? So I just wanted to chip that in so that we don't feel like we are dealing with something and we are not able to respond as another person that is dealing with something that we seem to be bigger is able to respond in a better way.
Yeah, thank you. And then just to add to that before we move ahead is that's why we have some professionals. When you feel your adversity is something that is dragging you back, you're unable to focus, it's leading you to depression, it's leading you to a great anxiety, a great stress, giving you trauma. Not everybody that has trauma develops PTSD. That is post-traumatic stress disorder. But this thing is leading you to have a kind of post-traumatic stress disorder. Then please, people like Dr. Shoda in there, they are the mental health people. It's not only crazy or insane people that go to see them. You can go to see them, or you go and see your counselor, or you get a therapist. And it's after you have healed of those traumas that you can now walk down to the coach who will help you move forward. Who does, because coaches will just deal with the present and the future. Those mental health counselors are the people who deal with your past, your adversity, to help you to be able to heal, your heart to be able to heal. So let's move forward. Now we come to the practical tools and techniques for developing resilience. And I mean Dr. Shoda in there to tell us these strategies from what he has been using in his in Arrow Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Arrow and the Research Center. What kind of practical tools and techniques do you use?
Yeah, thank you, Mike. There are a lot of practical strategies that can be used to help people to, cope with their adversity in order to bounce back, recover from their illness. One of the most important tools I will use is what we call psychotherapy. And what psychotherapy is saying is a psychological method of treatment. Most people are not aware of the major cause of their problem. They are not even aware of what they are dealing with. They are not even aware of the battle they are really battling. So when this happens and they go to the professional, what is expected that that individual will be able to guide to see what happens. So most of what we do is that we are not magicians. So we carry out assessment in form of personality assessment, what kind of the person this individual is. We also take good history to have a good understanding about the problem and to be able to conceptualize it. Most people, when one adversity, people that are not able to cope with their challenges, most of the time they develop mental health problem. And the first thing is to help them to see the connection between their problem and their thinking, because thinking is very, very, very important. One of the psychotherapy techniques, the advocate Abatelli said, men are not moved by things, but the view which they take of them. What he's saying is that it is not a problem that really is really affecting the individual, but the interpretation, the conceptualization of the problem. There was a young lady that came with the father, and we asked the father, what is the problem? The father, because of the way he conceptualized, he said, "Wọ́n ṣépè fún ni." Wọ́n ṣépè fún ni, it was caused. So because many people believe that, okay, when people are not doing well, because it is one spiritual attack or the other. So the man is seeing the problem from a spiritual point of view. But what happened is that most problems, things don't just happen. A lot of people are not are going through issues that are not really spiritual. All you need is practical techniques to solve. So in psychotherapy, we try to explore the individual's understanding of the problem and how they have been dealing with it in the past. If it is LD, then we reinforce it. But if it's non-LD, maybe taking the individual is suspicious of people mistrustful or avoiding people, or even using of psychoactive substance, beer, drug, and whatever, then we look at it as being unhealthy and try to help the individual to shape the way he is seeing things from a maladaptive point of view to a more adaptive point of view. So this technique we call cognitive therapy. Then basically most people, the theoretical something is that most people are dealing with things they are not even conscious of. There are 3 levels of consciousness. The first one is conscious, the one we are conscious of, just like we are listening now and attending to issues. The second one is the pre-conscious. We are not conscious of it because we are not thinking of it now. But if they ask us question, what is your mother's maiden name? Then it readily comes to mind. What is your son's name? It readily comes to mind. So that is the pre-conscious. We are not conscious of it now, but anytime we need such information, we can also always, take it. Then the last one is unconscious, which is one of the greatest discovery of the 20th century, that most of the things that are bothering individuals, they are not even conscious of it. And we need special techniques to bring those things, those issues, unconscious conflicts that they have repressed under lock and key because they are very painful and they don't want to think of it, to bring it to the surface so that the individual can be aware of it and also deal with them appropriately.
Thank you very much, Dr. Olariwaju Shudende. You want to say something here, Engineer Yoshewa?
Yeah, just a few tips. Just as a reminder, let's not forget that we're talking about resilience, and your resilience shows up in the courage to try again after a failure. Your strength to seek help when things get overwhelming for you. And, the tenacity that you have to keep pursuing your goals despite the obstacles that you face. This is what your resilience is. And there are a few practical tips and strategies that we can use to just build them up. Right? Of course, like the doctor said, depending on what area of adversity that you're dealing with, there are many tools and many professional help that can help to cater to those specific adversities. But just generally speaking, in life, generally speaking, some few tips are this. I think for us all, we need to be able to know our core strengths, where we are very, very strong at, and we need to keep those things in mind. Another thing is this, a while back, the host said to us that one of the things that helped her was that she anchored herself in God, in her faith, in a trust. Each one of us will need to be able to anchor ourselves in some kind of belief that we trust, right? And I think for a lot of people, for a lot of us that believe in the concept and the fact that there's a God, it's also a good thing to be able to anchor yourself in that as well. The other thing is that on every opportunity that we have, we need to be able to build our self-esteem. We need to be able to build our confidence and the ability to have the positive thinking. And this is one of the things that the doctor said as well. We need to be able to see things in a positive way. Rather than see the glass half empty, you see the glass as half full. Rather than see the challenge or the adversity, we see things as what will help us to grow. I cannot emphasize on this next point enough. We need to be able to build very, very strong and healthy relationship, because these are the people that will be able to stand with us, that will be able to be there for us, and to be able to encourage us. We need to be able to know when to ask for help. Knowing when to go for professional help, knowing when to go for a help from a family friend, or knowing what kind of help we need is important as well. And we also need to be able to know how to manage our stress and anxiety level, right? When it's becoming too difficult, you need to know how to manage it. And lastly speaking, we can go into depth on any one of this, but lastly speaking is we need to be able to work on our problem-solving skills. One problem after the other, we need to be able to develop ways on how to solve and manage this problem. The problem that you manage and solve today is the one that gives you the confidence and the ability to be able to face the problem for tomorrow. I believe that even though we don't have time to expatiate on all of this, but these tools are tools that can help us to be able to build resilience.
Oh, so much. Thank you so much, Engineer Yoshewa and our Dr. Larry Shuden. I'd just like to go over the 7 points Engineer Yoshewa said. And for those of you who are listening, you need to take notes, because the current situation all over the world, so stressful. And you can't get out of one adversity or the other. It might be so minor, it might be small, it might be medium, it might be big. But they'll be able to give you ways you can cope with it. The first, he said, is our core strength, which means it's so important for us to build our strength, to have a core strength. Believe in yourself. Like I said, take your mindset, take ownership of your own mindset. Number 2, he said, anchor in some kind of belief. I know, nobody says believe in the God that some, either Christians or Muslim or Judaism, I believe in, the monotheism God, whatever kind of God, even if you're a traditionalist, there is a particular thing you have faith and believe in. Anchor in that faith of yours. 3, build your self-esteem. And now, which means it's very important. And 4, he said, ability of positive thinking. In this one, I want to say there's something they call switch theory. And switch theory is normal. Everybody, you switch from negative thoughts to positive thoughts. It's the one you dwell more on that can make or mar you. Because by the time your mind switch to that negative thought, if you dwell on it and you don't switch it back to positive emotion, positive thoughts, so to have a positive thinking, anytime your mind is switching to that negative thought, tell it to guide behind you and switch back to the positive thought. And then we're talking about strong and healthy relationship, which is very key. I think when we episode 2, especially episode 2, we do it a lot on social connections, which means you have to be connected. Your friends, your relatives, your community, your church, your mosque, your traditional assembly, anywhere around you, social need to ask for help when you need help. And then manage your stress, work in a problem-solving skill. There's nothing to be ashamed of to seek professional help. Going to people like Dr. Olanrewaju Shedede, I mean, don't let anybody think, are you crazy? Is that why you are going to see a clinical psychologist? No, you are not. You just want to build your resilience. So don't bother mental health. People are there for you. Counselors can help you. Therapists can help you. Thank you, panelists, for bringing out these points. There will be these techniques for our audience and those of all who will still listen and look at this video. Now, I mean, we've already spoken about managing stress. They have identified stressors. I don't know if you have anything to add in this, especially when it comes to cognitive behavioral strategies. Dr. Shedede, you want to add this?
Yeah, yes, ma. Yeah, thank you, ma. When we talk about stress, stress itself is very healthy at a minimal level. But when the stress becomes too much and exceed our limit of the way we can cope with it, that is when it becomes a problem. If somebody is holding a biro now, they will say this biro is not heavy. But what determines the heaviness is not what is being carried, but the duration, the amount of time. One is holding a biro for 6-7 hours, the biro will be heavy. So what happens is that stress is inevitable in life, and it's also it has great impact on our mental health. There is a saying that about 70% of most illness are called emotionally induced illness, you know, and they are 70%. But if all these things are taken care of, it means the number of, illness one we experience will be greatly reduced by 70%. So coping with stress is very, very important. And it goes on and on again. One must have a positive mindset about what one is doing. Then also one must also learn from the personal experience. Any stress that we can predict, then the burden on us will be reduced because we can easily escape when we can cope with it. We can predict it. So also in coping with stress, our strength is also very, very important. So some of the cognitive something is the way we think about the stress is very, very important. If we see the stress as something that can lead us to greater height, it's like if I pass through this one successfully, I'll be able to go on to a higher end. So it tells one, you know, to overcome. But when the stress becomes too much, it can lead to what is called burnout, emotional burnout, you know, and you know, when there is burnout, there is emotional exhaustion. One does not see any good thing in what one is doing. One is not happy with himself. One believes that everybody does not like him or is not interested in what he is doing. And he sees everybody as an enemy. But once one has a positive mindset and one is able also to establish a realistic goal which is achievable, then one will be able to cope with the stress cognitively. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shudende. You need to say something here. Engineer Shewa?
Well, not particularly. I mean, just to add to what the doctor said, the stress is just a state of worry or mental tension that is caused by a difficult situation, right? And that difficult situation can be as small as just a traffic or a bad day or you just being upset and everything. But two things that I just wanted to add, number one, the perception of each person to stress is dictate about your positive outlook in life. Like I said earlier on, some people see things as half full or half empty, the glass of water. In trying to combat stress, at least two things that I have done to try to mitigate it is one, and I just want to prescribe this. One, be positive about it, right? See the positive side of it and see it as a fact that it is a stepping stone to my next level. Number two is this one works like magic, right? And I advise us to try it. It's the power of gratitude. To always be in a place of thankfulness and to always see something to be thankful of, right, at every point in time, even whilst you're going through that stress. It helps to be able to manage the stress. Of course, there are a lot of other things that we can apply and that we can discuss with the specialist. But I believe that these two things, it's worked for me, and I know that it can work for others as well.
Thank you so much, Engineer Yoshewa. I'd like to tell you that, yeah, I came into that power of gratitude. And I want to say here that it might be good for everybody. I mean, some people like to journal, to write down, to take a paper every day, or you have a part of journal every day, you write down 3 things you are grateful for. And that might take you out of stress. 3 things, at least 3 things you are grateful for that day. It's so helpful. It's one of the exercises we coach take our clients, that every day write down what you are grateful for. The power of gratitude is very, very important. I agree with you. And there are a lot, stress, there's no place in the world, in the whole universe, that haven't got their own stressors. It might differ from continent to continent, country to country, but there are stressors everywhere. Thank you, panelists. Let's move forward. Now we come to this particular one. I want Dr. Shudende. We are talking now about neuroscience of mindfulness. You need to talk psychological benefits and the physical health benefits. I know Engineer Yoshewa, being a universal educator, we'll be able to add something there too. But Dr. Shudende, please, this is your slide.
Okay, thank you, man. So when we talk about mindfulness, we are talking about the awareness that emerges through paying attention on purpose, that is purposefully paying attention to things around us, in a non-judgmental way. Most of the time, instead of being conscious, many pass through a place and not even aware of what is around. There was a picture I shared on Facebook, and I discovered that many people don't know the importance of the picture. And a dog was going with a human being, while the human being was preoccupied with a financial issue, car, houses, and a lot of other things. The dog that was with him was just conscious about, the trees, the environment, and the well-cut lawn, and So what this is telling us is that most of the time, instead of us being mindful, being aware or conscious of our environment, we are being mindful of some of the things we want, some of our needs. So, and we are preoccupied with a lot of things, and this causes mental or emotional distress in the sense that one is easily carried away. One see that, okay, there are issues, there are problems that are unsolved, and this can, on the long run, can lead to depressive illness, depressive disorder, in which the individual will lose interest in the previously interesting things, the things he enjoyed doing before. The individual lose interest in it. The individual is also, most of the time, is unable to, move on in life because they are stuck, because they feel that, okay, there is no way out of the problem, because the problem becomes so full, so so full that it's so elaborate, and they feel that, okay, there is no way out. But if one is, aware of a situation, aware of the environment, then one will be able to tease out easily, okay, this is the situation, this is the problem, problem solving technique, as our engineer has talked about, how to solve the problem, okay, one see things in a better light, not really in the way others see it. And that's where creativity will come in. Then one develops self-efficacy, in the sense that the more one is able to solve, the more is able to move on to solve other problems. Then the individual is confident about his ability, and also will be able to, ask for help when they really need help, because they will be able to see the source of help around, instead of just looking at things blindly. I think that's what I have in mind.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shudende. Engineer Yoshawa?
Okay, if I may, this is not necessarily my area of specialty, but
okay,
if
I just want to have something, just to chip in something a little. If not, it doesn't matter, you can bypass it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. And I think, like the doctor said, mindfulness is very, very important, right? Mindfulness can just being in a place where you are self-aware, right? Self-aware of your environment, self-aware of your thoughts, your emotions, being self-aware of, your present experiences, not judging or reacting to them, just being in a place where you can, assess things yourself, right? Puts us in a place where you are able to deal with situation better, where you are able to mentally say that, okay, this is the systematic way of tackling this and this and this. And we can take a simple example without taking too much of your time. It is to say that, okay, I know that I am in this current state. I'm dealing with this current issue. This is what is happening. These are the limitations. Oh, okay, I see. This has not happened. Okay, so I should be grateful that, okay, this has not happened, even though I'm here. When you begin to process it, okay, what is the worst that can happen? Okay, who do I need to go for help? Being in a place where you're able to contextualize things for yourself in a space of being mindfulness has a lot of trigger that can help to reduce the stress or help us deal with adversity in a better way.
Thank you, Engineer Yoshawa. I'd just like to chip in. I want us to look at this image I put here. The image is specific. That is a practice of mindfulness. And you can see how the mindfulness of several, right from the brain, the mental brain, down to the toe of such a person, going to the total body. In our coaching service, mindfulness is one of the exercises we give to our clients, the practice of mindfulness. that is maybe, and there are major, like some people in their mindfulness could be like a yoga. Some people can be meditating in the word of God. Some people will be just sitting alone, what we call body scan. In body scan, where you just lie down, like this one, like body scan, you lie down, you are still, you are able to reset your thinking and everything right from there, and then you heal mentally, physically, emotionally. It's like a kind of reset. It has psychological benefits, it has physical benefits, and it has emotional or mental benefits. So that's just what I want. We said a lot about mindfulness in the last episode, which was episode 3. So people can still see that episode 3 on YouTube or on Facebook. I would like to, we have said about it too. Mindfulness and meditation practices is part of the things we have already said. Advancing hope, self-efficacy, optimism, and resilience. I don't think has anybody got to say something here, or we move forward? Because some of these things have been said in the previous slides.
Yeah, thank you, Emma. But what I want to just chip in is, like they say, fostering inner strength. You know, this inner strength, even though it's you have said some things about it, but it's also very, very important. You said something about the presenter that, okay, you draw a lot of strength from the word of God, from the Bible, and that this has really helped you. I think there is a saying in the Bible that says, if you faint in the days of adversity, that your strength is not much. I think what they are talking about here is inner strength. And this can be developed through a lot of ways, through the coaching that you talked about, through reading, through self-discipline, and a lot of other, approaches that can help on. We have a lot of people right now, younger ones, that are very lazy because the family members, they don't want them to suffer, and they are doing many things for them. If there was a case of somebody writing an exam for, the child, so there is no way, when we are helping this younger one to solve all of their problems, that they will be able to develop the inner strength of the muscle that we are talking about. And that is why there is increase in the cases of depression, suicidal behavior, and a lot of other things, which is very prevalent. And I think, most parents should take a cue from this, that, okay, these children, the only way they can develop self-efficacy is that let them to go negotiate through some challenges on their own, so that they can be better off and also develop resilience. So that's what I want to add.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shoda. Did you anything you want to say here? No.
No, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Fostering inner strength, that's what we say. Cultivating building confidence and self-efficacy, renewal and personal growth. These are all the things, the importance of learning and personal development. And these are all the things Dr. Shoda, they just mentioned it. How you cultivate your self-awareness, your emotional intelligence. All these things come out to help you in building resilience, becoming a resilient personality. It's good. You have to build up your confidence in yourself and your renewal and personal growth. But is there any point or any addition any of the panelists want to put in here? You want to chip in something here? Or
yeah, it's
you
just
said it,
okay.
I think that's what Dr. Shedende said in the last part. Now, practical appliances like tools, resources, apps, books, program, actionable steps. You can help us here. You mentioned some of the things they use for the mental health people. So how to implement residence building strategies in daily life. I think some of that, Engineer Yoshewa mentioned that earlier on in some of the steps to take, which we read out, the kind of things you can take to help you. But let's look at the tools one can use. Or is there any app like I know about the Calm app. There's something they call Calm application there, or meditation app that you can use when you are going, you go to that app, And then when you want to sleep, it makes you really, really, I've never used it personally, but I know it's available. It's an app on Apple Store that one can download to use.
I think what I would just want to add here is when there is a key point there, we talks about actionable steps. Most of the time when people, come to us for, therapy, I talked about assessment, and this assessment can be done in various areas. So we look at the individual's personality. Laymen, we talk about type A personality and type B personality. Some are always on the edge. They want to achieve everything, solve every problem, whatever. And the others one, which is type B, are very slow. But we look at this personality from the various perspectives. So, but this actionable step, as I said, when appropriate actions are taken, one has what we call set attainable goals for themselves. There are some people, the goals that they set for themselves is too unrealistic that, in fact, that goal itself will make them become a burden to them and will now affect them negatively. So I think that's what very, very important. There is what we call serenity prayer. The serenity prayer said, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. So when there are some unrealistic goals, it can be heavy on the individual. So there are some things, no matter what we do, we can't change it. We can't change government policy. We can't change some of the things that are going on around us. But the serenity prayer also go further. So God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the one I can, and also the wisdom to know the difference. So we need to be courageous, help people, guide them so that they can take more courage. We all need a push in life. Some people just need encouragement, so that they can move on to, to achieve their goal, to solve a problem. There was the story of a man with a pool of a swimming pool that wants to give out the daughter in marriage. And he said young people should come. And when those young people came out, because of the monetary something, maybe they say $1 million, or there are different versions of the story. So the young people came out and they want to get married to the rich man's, daughter. So, but when they came, he said they should come in, and they took them to the swimming pool. The people that cannot swim, those ones were eliminated. And the ones that can swim, they were on the starting block, and they said, on your mark, set, go, and nobody jump into the water. They said it again, nobody jumped, because when they look into the water, there are crocodiles in the pool, and they are yawning, meaning that probably they are hungry. So nobody dived in, but as they were reflecting, they said one just jumped inside. And before we say Jack Robinson, he came out at the other end. The man now said, do you want to take the hand of my daughter in marriage? He said, no. Do you want the $1 million price tag? He said, no.
Yeah, sorry, that's technology. It will come back, because I don't think he has finished that. He hasn't finished what he's talking about to us. Dr. Shodainde, I'm sorry about your stop in transmission. Maybe Engineer Yoshewa, you have something to add to this one?
I think I know a little bit about the story that Dr. Shodainde was trying to say. If I do, maybe when he comes back, he would finish the story. But if I remember the version of the story that I know, so when the man jumped into the pool of crocodile, and he came out, and they asked him, do you want to marry the woman? He said, no. Do you want the money? He said, no. And they said, what do you really want to know? And he said, I want to know who pushed me.
Who pushed me?
I just want to know who pushed me.
It's kind of a funny It's kind
But,
of
but then just to add one or two things on the practical applications, right?
yeah.
And this is one area that has helped me as well. The tools and resources part, the apps and the books and the programs designed to enhance resilience. One thing that I can recommend that has helped me about is just picking up the books and reading about autobiographies of people, right?
Yeah.
You know, when you read about the autobiographies of people, like people that have gone through one thing or the other, you would be surprised at how much you will glean from the book on how they have dealt with issues and how they have continued to soldier on despite the challenges that they had. I mean, so when you read about books like about the life of Nelson Mandela, you know, you read things like about the life of Obama, you know, you would have so many of these stories. And dare to say that there are a lot of stories like that that are replete in the Bible that gives us, you know, examples on how we can build our own resilience through what other people have gone through. And I want to recommend that. And I know that it has great potential to be able to help us in how we deal with different adversities and how we pick up ourselves to wanting to try again.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Joshua. I mean, based on what Dr. Shodainde was telling us before, yeah, he's back. He's back. Let's allow him to. He's back. I'm looking for a sheet of paper somewhere, but it doesn't matter. You are back. Come on. You are welcome back. We understand. Okay, like I was saying, I want people to know that, yeah, you are back. I think,
ma'am.
yeah, I think that story has been finished. You can continue. It has been finished for you that he just wants to know who pushed him into the.
Yes, we all need a push in life. So sometimes when people come like that, you know, they just need a push and they will keep going. Everybody needs encouragement. Everybody needs support. We talk about network of supportive social, you know, network of supportive social relationship around us. They are also very, very helpful. What one will not do alone when there are other people, you know, around, that group dynamics will be there and one will be able to achieve a laudable goal and overcome adversity.
Thank you. I just want to add a little bit to what the panelists have said. Please learn to set smart goal, realistic,
Yes.
measurable goal. I mean, when you set a small goal and you achieve it, it helps you even in building up your trust in yourself. And you really, really need to celebrate yourself. You need to take care of yourself. You need to love yourself. I used to say something. I said, love is anchored on a kind of a tripod, which is God. The first one is you love God totally, completely. I call it the 3 C's. Loving God completely, loving yourself correctly, and loving others compassionately. Because if you don't love yourself correctly, there's no way you can love God completely or love others compassionately. And loving yourself correctly is to take note of these actionable steps that has been mentioned to take care of yourself on a daily basis to be able to overcome anxiety or stress so that you yourself can build up your resilience and become a resilient person. We have come to the end of the section per se. This is question and answer and interactive components. If you are an audience in the Zoom, you can raise your hand. Let me see if you have any question for any of the panelists or you have comments. And if you are joining us on Facebook and you want to ask any, can we hear you now? If you have any question, if not, we just want the panelists one by one to give us their final thoughts and words of encouragement, summarize their key points, and then we can say bye-bye. Well, apparently we don't have any questions. from any of the audience, that means they understand exactly what we are saying, what contribution. So let's go first. Dr. Lanrewaju, can you give us your final thoughts and words?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. First, I want to say thank you for this wonderful privilege, to also contribute my knowledge to, help people, in overcoming their problems. So we have talked about resilience, and we talked about it as ability to be able to bounce back from adversity when there are challenges. The word is used interchangeably. If you look at it, some use it as a form of coping. And you see, when there are problems, a lot of people are shattered, they are broken down, where some people are still able to retrace their footsteps and move on. And we also talk about adversity, that it can come in different forms, in form of financial and relationship issues. It can come in form of health, issue. It can come in form of death of a loved one, in which one is grieving, bereavement. This also very, very important. I've seen people, that even 2 years after they lost their husband, they will say the man is not dead. In one in particular, we still go to the market, we buy food stuff, cook the food, dish the food, and we take it to the husband room. But when he sees an empty bed, the thing will drop from it. So this is, grieving, how it can cause. So it goes on and on and on. We talk about the benefit that, the benefit of resilience, as it relates to mental health, is very, very important. First, it can help to prevent mental health problems if one is resilient. Then it can also help to reduce the impact of mental health problems, when one is resilient. Then also, there are different types, our presenter have talked about the different types. And I believe I said one of the major causes is the thinking that, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. So that the way people think determines how they feel, whether they are happy, whether they are sad, whether they are angry. All these things are very, very important. Some of the benefits include good communication skills, can help one to, because one is doing something confidently, because he has achieved something, and that gives him self-efficacy, and we're able to talk about things confidently. One is able to manage their problem appropriately. One is able to connect with other people that are very supportive, because they're asking for help from people is not a weakness, but in fact, it is a strength. So it can help in good problem solving and others. We've also talked about being mindful of one's environment, and we also talk about emotional intelligence. We talked about ability to understand our emotion, understand the emotion of others, and being able to use it appropriately. So on the final note, I will just say, well, tough time never lasts, but only tough people do, and we need to be, this resilience is something we can learn, over time. We can inculcate it in our children and inculcate it in even our co-workers and people, our subordinates, so that life can be more meaningful and more fulfilling. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lanrewaju Shidendi. Engineer Yoshewa.
Thank you once again for the opportunity. It's great and a pleasure to be here and to be able to learn from the discussion today. I just want to close on this final thought. It's something that we can look up on the internet for ourselves, or you can glean on books, and leave us with what is called the 7 C's of resilience. As we've been told, being resilient can help us in a lot of ways, dealing with stress, adversity, mental health. But I want to encourage us in these 7 areas. Number 1, to be more resilient, we need to build our competence. We need to build and make sure that in as many areas as we can, be more competent. Number 2, we need to build our confidence. The more your confidence is up, the more you're able to deal with life challenges. Number 3, we need to build our connection to the right people, having healthy relationship. Number 4, we need to build our character. We've talked a lot today about seeing things positively and having the positive reaction. Number 5, we need to build on our contribution. Help other people, make positive impact. It helps to be able to build our resilience. Number 6, we need to build our coping mechanism. We need to develop different areas where we can deal with stress, deal with adversity, and start to build on how better to cope. And the last thing is that we need to build on our control. We need to be able to understand where we have control and where we do not have control, where we need to be able to seek for help, and where we need to be able to speak to other people and who we're speaking with. I believe that if we're able to start working on these 7 C's, our resilience has no other way to go than to go up. And I think it is very, very important with what Doctor said, right? And just to reinforce it, I would like to close on that as well. And Doctor, maybe you can help me say it if I've not said it properly. Tough situations don't last.
Yeah, tough time never lasts. Only tough people do. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much.
How? Honestly, I've been blessed by the panelists. I want to appreciate Dr. Larewa Ijushodende and Engineer Yoshewa. I want to reveal this. Engineer Yoshewa is my own son. What I mean by my son is that it's my son-in-law. He's married to my youngest daughter, my youngest child. So it's family. Honestly, both of you have done wonderfully well. And I want to thank you so much. Thanking Dr. Shodende for his selfless, for his expertise here. He has come. Nobody is taking anything here. They have just come here to share their knowledge, to share their skills to everybody who can hear them. And you will still find this thing on Facebook or anywhere. Learn from it. Is their contribution to the community, their contribution to others. And then you should appreciate them. So I appreciate both of you. And I thank you so much for coming on to this particular episode 4, which is talking on holistic harmony episode. Stay blessed, everyone. And don't forget, love God totally, love yourself correctly, and love others compassionately. All the 7 C's Engineer Yoshewa mentioned go towards loving yourself correctly. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, goodbye. Thank you, man. Thank you, engineer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.